Do do do, theme song. Do do do, I'm broke, so this is my theme song. Do do do, just imagine this is an awesome theme song. Do do, theme song. Hello, welcome to Left of the Box. Bonjour, bienvenue. I'm Sandee. I am really today I have just been in complete and utter inner rage wanting to burst out all day. I am so mad at what has happened. Okay, I'm just going to make sure, as always, that people can hear me in the chat before I get too far ahead of myself. And let's see, are people hearing me? I just need one thumbs up. This has just been, it's been quite the day. I woke up and it was good for about 15 minutes. Okay, we got some thumbs up. We're good to go. Okay. So a week or a week and a half ago, I did a surprise live stream because something I saw online just enraged me. And that was Sarah Jama made a statement about Israel and Palestine. That statement did not enrage me. In fact, it made me feel good because it was a great statement. Nothing wrong with it. And then I saw what Merritt Stiles had to say about it and what Doug Ford had to say about it. And I got really mad. So I've made a couple videos about it. Well, I made that one live stream about it. I also mentioned it again in my last live stream because this has been top of my mind because I feel like I have a bit of a personal connection to all this because I have tried to run for the NDP. It was federal, but still I had tried to run for it. And they told me after this last time in 2019, after they told me that I was going to become the candidate, somebody from the vetting committee contacted me to say, in fact, no, I was not. And the actual reason was because I have a sense of humor and I might speak my mind, which is true. I've already got an interrupter here. So I am also a person who lives with disabilities, and I felt it was so important to get somebody into Parliament who could speak to issues of the disability community, people with lived experience who know, some of the struggles and hurdles that we have to overcome. So when I saw Sarah Jama had won for MPP in Hamilton, I was thrilled. I have a video about it. Please go check it out. Shortly, like right after she won the seat there. I was so happy because she is an amazing person, a Black woman of Somali descent who lives with disabilities, and she's under 30, and yet she is still so much better at what she does than all the old ancient politicians you would ever see in Parliament. And I was just so thrilled that somebody like her could give people in regards to disabilities like me a voice. But she was also giving a voice to Black women, to Muslims, people who are also severely underrepresented in Queen's Park. So seeing what has happened to her over the past couple weeks has just been devastating. It has hurt me so much, and it has left me at a loss as to where to go from here. And we'll talk more about that after we kind of go over today's ups and then down, 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 downs. Just quickly check the chat here. Somebody lost sound? Are you still hearing me? Is the volume okay? I can increase the gain here. It's just I have to lower the gain when I think I might get a little louder so that I don't get the mic too hot. So, Cyan, the world has gone crazy. Everything is upside down. Yeah, tell me about it. Oh, the Bluetooth went out. That's why you weren't hearing. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for all the people who now say they can hear me. That is great. Volume is fine. Good. Okay. So like I said, I woke up this morning, and I think it was still morning when I woke up. I'm a night person. And I hop onto Twitter because I'm still, despite the hostile fart sauna Twitter has become, I still am on there quite obsessively. And I saw this amazing statement put out by Sarah.
"13 days ago, I called for an immediate ceasefire and de-escalation, which had begun a horrific siege on the Palestinians in Gaza. And I'd like to share some thoughts today about this censure vote. Since I made this statement, Israel has only escalated its assault on millions of Gazans. The Israeli Defense Forces have killed thousands of Palestinians, destroyed residential areas, and ordered the evacuation of at least 20 hospitals in northern Gaza. Israel is telling people who are already injured, sick, and dying in hospitals in Gaza to leave. Since I made my statement, Israel has bombed refugee camps, United Nations schools, hospitals, airports, and the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt. The unspeakable destruction continues and represents collective punishment against all Gazans in retaliation for attacks by Hamas. The Ford government has done nothing meaningful to say about these atrocities and has now targeted me to distract from its own scandals.
Also want to add, not only has the Ford government not said anything against these, they also passed a motion condemning Hamas and affirming Israel's right to defend itself, which is now coded language for they're allowed to do whatever they want.
And those of us committed to Palestinian life refuse to be distracted. I restate my call for an immediate ceasefire by Israeli forces and for the immediate restoration of food, water, fuel, and electricity in Gaza.
So what I already love about this is, despite all of the pushback that she got over her first comment, which I'll pop up on screen in a moment to remind people what it was, she had a great comment that no apology was needed, but was demanded of her anyway. She is now doubling down on it. She is not backing down. She is going even harder now. The admiration I have for her right now, the courage she is showing, shines above anyone else I've seen in Canadian politics that I can think of.
And I applaud the many elected officials in Canada who have joined this call in recent days, and I hope even more of you will speak out. I ground my words in the realities of the Israeli apartheid and Israel's ongoing domination and occupation of Palestinian lands. Governments and institutions in Canada are trying to use their voice to wait to silence us, to silence workers, students, educators, and peace-loving people who dare to support Palestine. And to every person who's taking a risk to speak up for Palestinian dignity and safety, I see you and I hear you and I am with you. They try hard to silence us, but we know that our words are powerful and we must continue to speak up no matter the costs. Thank you.
Damn, that was just amazing. In that moment, she made so many people in this province felt heard. Just absolutely incredible statement with everything that is going on. To speak it so clearly, so firmly in Queen's Park. Again, after everything she has already been through with her support for Palestinians, just blows my mind. If all the other politicians had just even a kilogram, I think that's the Canadian one measurement that we use, a kilogram of the courage that she has, then I might actually have hope in the electoral system. So what happened next? So this was like my first 15 minutes of the day, and I retweeted this and everything was great. And then this happened. Merritt Stiles, leader of the Ontario NDP. In our caucus, there is room for different viewpoints, even dissenting ones, but that is based on the foundational principles of trust and working together as a team. Ms. Jama and I had reached an agreement to keep her in the NDP caucus, which included working together in good faith with no surprises. No, you can't have surprises. No, you must say exactly what the party wants you to say, and anything outside of that is a big no-no. Our caucus and staff have made significant efforts to support her during an undoubtedly difficult time. No, they haven't. They have not done that. All the attacks Sarah was getting, the misogynistic, the racist, the ableist attacks she was getting, and not one of them stood up for her. All Merritt did from the get-go was throw Sarah under the bus. Like, even the statement that Merritt released after Sarah's was pretty much in line with what Sarah said. It's just Sarah's original statement had the vicious crime of not starting off by saying, I condemn Hamas. No, she didn't start her statement off with that. She didn't directly mention that. And then, of course, the other things that probably got under the skin of Merritt was the fact that she referred to Israel as an apartheid state, which it is, same as Canada, which is why a lot of our politicians get really, about that term being used with Israel. And then she also said, she wants a ceasefire, which, I think some politicians are finally getting bullied into seeing that position, but the reality is they don't want it. We sell a lot of weapons to Israel. We give them a lot of money for their Iron Dome and everything. Like, everything you see the Americans doing, we do politer. So we are sending weapons and money over there, and we have our own interests in Israel, which is why, a ceasefire, Israel has a right to defend itself. But, Merritt wasn't done. This is only the first half of her little statement here. Since then, she has undertaken a number of unilateral actions that have undermined our collective work and broken the trust of her colleagues. Some of Ms. Jama's actions have contributed to unsafe work environments for staff. Yes, this Black woman speaking her mind is making me feel unsafe. Oh, that is yeah. That is the read, because there are people attacking Sarah right now. In my last video, I mentioned how she had to shut down her office in Hamilton and do everything remotely because of the threats that they're getting. And apparently that's all Sarah's fault. You know, she's making all these politicians, feel we're just not comfortable with her speaking her mind. There's issues around that. It's interesting how much Sarah, a Black Muslim woman of Somali descent, is attacked almost very similar to how there's a politician in the States, right? Ilhan Omar, who is also a Black woman of Somali descent. I wonder if that's just a coincidence, huh? No, it's not. And as such, with the support of our Ontario NDP MPPs, I have been left with no option but to remove Ms. Jama from our caucus. So they just kicked her out of the party. They owed her an apology for the way they treated her, but instead they kicked her out of the party. I am happy to say, at least, there's quite the ratio going on here. And you notice, no one can, the comments are off. Nobody's been able to comment on this. And there's a pattern with people like Merritt and other politicians saying that this was the right thing to do for Sarah. They don't allow comments, which just leads to really high numbers of quote tweets. So that was making me really mad. And then this happened. And then there's just a bunch of quiet for about here. Oh, no, about there.
The ayes are 63, the nays are 23. The ayes are 63 and the nays being 23, I declare the motion carried. Pursuant to Standing Order 36A, the member for Lovas is given notice.
Ceasefire now! 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 Ceasefire now!
So that was the vote to censure Sarah, to basically take away her ability to participate at Queen's Park. So she's not to be acknowledged by the speaker. She can't say anything. She can't question anything. She can't vote on anything. So basically her entire riding has just been disenfranchised. Now, at the end of that little video, you saw a couple of men up in the gallery stand up and say ceasefire now. And from the looks of it, they are Jewish men who stood up to do that, which is great on them. And I know, because I've been to Queen Park to actually see some of these question periods, you're not allowed to do what they did. So that takes a lot of courage to do what they did, because they literally will not let you take any objects into the gallery. You're not even allowed to take like a pen to make notes with because they're worried you might scroll a message on your arm to show people, because you're not allowed to protest while in the stands at all. So the fact that one of them snuck in there with that t-shirt and they still decided to stand up and say that, great on them. They got kicked out. There's no doubt about it. And I hope that's the only thing that happened to them. And just the smug look on Doug's Ford face at the end of that just kind of really, really got me, you know, just, really upset. So there was another thing earlier from Merritt Stiles that I just kind of want to go back to quickly. So this was after Sarah's original statement where Merritt was saying that, you know, the statement does not reflect our party's position and was not approved by the caucus. So here's a fun little thing. Actually, no, that's in part in their video that I have to get to. But basically, it's not in this one, but somewhere, Merritt had said to her caucus members, you know, we're not going to vote against Sarah. And they didn't. They didn't vote to censure her, which was a BS thing to say to begin with, because she knew it would go through, because there's no, the Conservatives have a majority. If they really wanted to fight this, they knew this was coming up a while ago, and they said nothing. They said nothing to try to maybe sway some of these free speech conservatives into not censuring Sarah. So she just said, yeah, sure, her party won't vote for it, but it doesn't matter. And she knew it doesn't matter. So, yeah. I know. The whole thing is just... Yeah, just for reference, again, I'll just quickly go back to her statement, original statement. If I can find it right here. Yeah. So this was her original statement that she did back on October 10th. And in it, she's calling for a ceasefire. You know, she says her heart genuinely goes out to all those impacted on this ongoing violence. But you notice something here. This is new. Like, this is new today because I had to look up this tweet before for my last video. So I know this is new. After all of this, she pinned the tweet to the top of her Twitter bio. Damn, that is my kind of politician. Yeah. Definitely not backing down on this. So yeah, she did that. That is awesome. So I'll just leave it here. If you want to freeze the screen, if you haven't seen the statement before, you can read it here. But like I said, I'll make it bigger. Just that's way too big. Never mind. You can make your own screen larger too. I have read it in a previous video, so you can also go and watch that. I hope to eventually work on clipping them too, so I can get this all organized. But let's see. So I don't like Brian Lilly. He is a right-wing hack. But this is the only person that I found this video from, so we have to use this source, which is unfortunate. And I'm sure his view of it and my view of it are very two different opinions. But this is right after the vote to censure Sarah.
That have broken and undermined the collective work of your Ontario NDP official opposition. We are a team, and she has done a number of unilateral things that have undermined our team.
Yeah, she got a little uppity there, huh? You know, saying things that we don't approve of.
Our caucus and our staff team worked very, very hard and in good faith with MPP Jama so we could find a way forward and so that her voice could be heard. That's why we actually, of course, voted against this really egregious motion that the government brought forward.
Like I said, that doesn't matter.
Jama has, chosen not to work with us as a team, and so.
Yeah, she chose to represent the people in her riding.
We've had to remove her from the caucus. I'm happy to take
Why didn't you do this 2 weeks ago? She left her original post up. Why did it take this long to kick her out?
No.
So you see, I think this is why Brian was posting this one, because he's like, yeah, they should have done it longer ago. So shame on them for not kicking her out sooner. So I think that's kind of the angle he's going for. It's not the same angle I'm going for, though.
There were a number of actions, and we've been working very hard.
What was the final straw?
You know, for us, there have been a number of issues that have come up in the last little while that indicated that MPP Jama, you know, despite our best efforts, was going to continue to act, unilaterally. And
Oh no, she was going to continue to speak her mind. Part of this is, and I was reading on Twitter, you never know how accurate Twitter is, but I kind of believe this thing I read, because I know that when you make public statements like that, they often do have to be vetted, especially if you're in a little hot water. So they have to go through an approval process, because the statement that Sarah tweeted out back on October 10th was not approved by the party. So they didn't get to vet it first, and that was a big no-no. Somebody said that Sarah had a speech that the NDP had approved. But when she spoke it, she switched it out for the one that she wanted. And that was the final straw that the NDP had with her. And that's why they kicked her out. Which again, I just think it's kind of awesome. If that's true, hell yeah.
we can't continue to work that way.
Was
It
it the lawsuit?
undermines our team.
Was it the cease and desist letter?
No, as I said, there's a number of issues, obviously, that have come up in the last things, and we've really tried to work hard with her because we wanted her voice to be able to be heard, but she continued to undermine our and not work in good faith with us, and so this morning.
Just the seeing this, like, I'm not a woman. I haven't been for, well, ever, but I've kind of come into that. Seeing this white woman here kind of cry over, you know, this person who did not dare to actually, you know, submit to everything she demanded. Cry harder.
Morning, I made the difficult decision.
What's your reaction to what she said in the House this morning?
Unsafe working conditions. How she contributed to unsafe working conditions. How did she do that?
There were a number of instances where, well, first of all, MPP's offices, our constituency offices, and our offices here have received threats. MPP last week, when MPP Jama was, I guess, attempting to serve papers on the Premier.
Yeah, she was. She was serving a cease and desist order to the Premier of Ontario. And here's why. I should have put these in a better order. Where is it? Here. There's why. Apparently, I'm not supposed to say out loud what is in this statement that the Premier of Ontario sent out, and it's still up. But basically, just Sarah Jama has a long and well-documented history of anti-Semitism. No, she does not. She just has a long and well-documented history of standing up for Palestinians. But it is, and in here he is just so misogynistic towards Merritt, like chiding her for not doing her job, for kicking Sarah out sooner. But then it's this sentence here that I'm not allowed to read out loud, mostly. So Miss Stiles has yet to hold Miss Jama accountable for publicly supporting the violation and unaliving of innocent Jewish people. So you notice here that he didn't even frame this as his opinion. He has done this as a statement of fact about Sarah. And so, of course, for her own personal reputation, she has to serve him a cease and desist. And she has very good cause to sue him for libel for this. Like, this is just not okay. Because nowhere did she come close to saying this. Like, not even a little. And to think that this is still up on his Twitter account. And there's been no calls from anyone else in Parliament for him to take this down. But oh no, Sarah's statement asking for a ceasefire, that was so horrendous, that had to be taken down. But this is okay.
There was, as many of you know, an incident where there was some confusion about what was happening, and some of our staff were really concerned. So, this has bigger implications for everybody who works here,
Did you know what she was going to say this morning?
MPP Jama, I did not know that she was going to say what she said today, no.
That goes more towards the idea of she switched out her speeches last minute because, oh no, I didn't know what she was going to say. Yeah, they would have vetted her comments ahead of time. So then, yeah, this just kind of leads me to believe that account is correct.
What did you make of, she was surrounded by protesters when she left the house. They were very impressed. Did you see what happened?
Yeah, about that. So I was just in a Twitter space talking about what happened to Sarah, and somebody was actually there supporting Sarah. I can't remember if he was involved with her campaign or anything. But here is Merritt. Let's just get back to main. Here's Merritt saying, oh no, she's made us feel unsafe. It's all about safety, 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 safety. After this, they did nothing to help keep her safe when she had to leave Queen's Park, and she was swarmed by reporters. Now, here's part of the thing about that is Sarah relies on a wheelchair, an electric wheelchair to get around. So reporters and, well, people in general are ableist. And if Sarah had been walking out, she would have been afforded some room. People would have respected some space. But as soon as somebody is in a wheelchair, it's suddenly like they have no personal autonomy of their own. They have no personal space, no protective bubble around them. And the reporters were swarming around her, towering over her, shoving cameras and microphones in her face while Merritt was here doing this. Not helping her, not keeping her safe. It blows my mind that she has the audacity to say that Sarah is the one making them feel unsafe when she has done nothing to help her feel safe. For this whole 2-week period, she has done nothing to support her against the hate and the vitriol she's been receiving. And then to do all of this to her? I'm trying to keep this stream monetized. Ah!
I didn't see that.
Maura, was the decision made before she spoke this morning? Or was it made after she spoke this morning?
The decision this morning was made after a number of instances. It was made this morning. Yes.
So
When did you tell her? When did you tell her?
We just told her just before the vote. I wanted to make sure that I had, spoken to as many people.
Yeah, so just before Sarah had to sit there and watch all of her colleagues silence her, she was told she was no longer part of the NDP. How Sarah was even able to stay in the room at that point, I don't even know if I would have the courage to do that. To have to sit there and vote in your own favor, to be able to keep your voice in the job you are elected to do, while watching all of your colleagues Stay silent. Like, of course they voted in favor of her not being censured or whatever bullshit. But, you know, it really was performative because they all knew this was going to happen. Nobody said anything up until this point. Just need to... I have a whole bunch of tabs open, so I just want to see... there was a bunch I wanted to get to, so I want to make sure that I get to everything I was hoping to get to. I wasn't planning... This isn't going to be a long stream or anything. I just... I heard it in the Twitter space. The pain in so many people, particularly Black women, Muslim people, watching what happened to Sarah has broken a lot of their faith in the electoral system. And, you know, I said in my first video about her, I was surprised that she made it through the vetting because they don't like people who are activists, progressives to actually get through because the party is that far gone. And I had to learn that the hard way when they told me, after telling me I would be a candidate, that, oh no, I might speak my mind. And, you know, it is true, I would have. And I already had up to that point. You see, the only chance I really had to get into the party was the first time I ran way back a while ago, 2 elections ago. Because before that, I didn't have a social media presence. I didn't even have a Facebook page. So there was nothing they could have caught me on. There was no way for them to know how outspoken I am. But come the second round, I had been on Twitter and my YouTube videos and stuff, and I had already spoken out against some of the things that the NDP had done. I'd already mentioned that they're not going hard enough on certain things. And so they knew I would be a problem. I'd be a thorn in their side. There's a good chance Sarah went to Queen's Park very aware of the same thing I would have been aware of had I gone, that I am going there, but there's no guarantee I would last all 4 years there, at least not with the NDP, because in this moment I wouldn't have stayed quiet either. Which is just why I admire Sarah so much. Like, she is just... at her age, with everything she's already been through, to do this, to be treated this way by this party, the settler colonialism bolt that is coming out of Merritt's mouth. Merritt, who got into the position of leader of the NDP, that was just handed to her. There was no competition, but she's a wealthy white woman. That's why she got it, because she's part of the establishment within. She's part of the NDP that no longer wants to be attached to any sense of progressivism. Because, you know, if they actually became a party of, you know, for the working people and progressives, that goes against her self-interest. To have a wealthy person in charge of the party that's supposed to be for the working class, for the people who are forced to live with us, it makes no sense. But there was no challenge allowed. And this isn't new. What happened to Sarah isn't new. Laura May Lindo was an MPP for the NDP. And she was also an amazing person. I've met her a few times. I've talked to her. Just an incredible person. And she had to step away from the NDP for reasons that she kind of alludes to here. They never want us to speak. We get blamed for our truths. Our experiences are secondary to theirs. Rather than help someone craft a statement, we push Black folks out and wonder why it always looks the same. Proud of Sarah Jama. And so this happened back in 2022. I'd written in April 2022, prior to the Sarah Jama saga, how even parties like the NDP are at best clueless when it comes to creating safe spaces for Black people to thrive. I was continually told to sit down and shut up, one of the now former MPPs told me then. There used to be a Black caucus within the NDP. From what I hear, it's not there anymore because most of those members are no longer part of the NDP. They are just, it's not, I guess I can't be shocked that this is the parliamentary system, that even the so-called progressive left-leaning party is still just going to fold into the same stuff that we've been dealing with this entire time. The reason why we're in this position is because there is never, the system has not allowed for a more progressive party to gain steam. That is the way it was built. But fortunately, there were people at least speaking out in support of Sarah today. So you have Cameron my statement on the impacts of the Middle East conflict on Ward 2 residents and my fellow elected representatives, Sarah Jama and Sabrina Dahab, deeply disappointed by the misguided actions of the NDP for removing my MPP from caucus today. Huge step back. So yes, he is a ward councillor for the same riding that Sarah was in. And I'll just make that a bit larger. If you want to read the full statement, you can. There and there, if you want to freeze the screen later on. Also, somebody within the NDP, federal NDP, also the NDP MP for Sarah's riding as well. A statement from Matthew Green, MP Matthew Green, on anti-democratic motion of censure against MPP Sarah Jama and the challenges that Palestinian Canadians face when advocating for their existence, statehood, and human rights. Again, I'll make this a bit larger for those of you who want to go read his statement later on. It's quite long. And yes, he's upset that Sarah got censored like that she got silenced like that. And generally speaking, I really do like Matthew. I was really, really hoping that there was going to be a leadership race for the NDP and that Matthew would step up. And I had the strong sense that he was planning on it. But then 81% of the people who went to the convention voted not to have that leadership race because democracy. And as I said in my last video about it, they voted to keep Jagmeet Singh in, not because he's done anything good, but because he simply hasn't done anything horrid. He has just maintained the status quo, and that is what they wanted. And most of the people who can afford to go to that convention want to maintain that status quo. There is also from a member of QP here. This is deeply troubling and massively dangerous move. Sarah Jama is a necessary and strong supported voice. What my party, the Ontario NDP, must understand is that first, this move doesn't change that support, and second, they just handed the right a gift. A sad, sad day. And yeah, they did, because, you know, I look over at Mara here, just completely folding to Doug Ford, and it's like, you know, she's acting like she's so affirm in what she says, and it's like, really, Merritt, did you make Daddy Doug happy? Huh? Did you make him proud that you actually did what he called for in his earlier statement to call down this woman of color, this woman living with disabilities, this outspoken woman. Did you do him proud? Because that's what he wanted you to do. He wanted you to do that, even though in a statement later on, she said almost the same thing Sarah said. But no, she needed to make Daddy Dougie happy. There's also Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East. Thank you, Sarah Jama, for your principal support of the ceasefire and condemning Israel's brutal violence against Gaza, no matter the cost of speaking up. There are 2.3 million people in Gaza who deserve freedom from bombardment, occupation, siege, and apartheid. And then that one was Laura May Lindo's. But you notice something? These were the ones that I found, and I've been on Twitter obsessively today, just liking everything Sarah Jama was actually trending on Twitter briefly today. So we see these people, at least Matthew Green is from the NDP, but federal NDP. You notice what you're not seeing here? Anyone from her party, anyone provincially from any party. In fact, if we go back to this little screen grab here, the people behind her here who were selected to be behind Merritt, make no mistake about it, they were selected to make it look inclusive, or like it can't be that bad because, look, we have a Muslim person behind us and we have Salma Makwa, who's Indigenous. Well, you know, they're standing behind Merritt, and this here is Dolly Begum, I believe is how you say her name. Yeah, these two. They were selected to stand behind Merritt for this. Make no doubt about it. Because that is, you know, they wanted to say, you know, we can't be that bad. Look at my friends here. Look at my friends behind me. They're standing with me. What utter and complete bull. Gosh darn it, I want to curse more. I'm getting used to this whole new monetizing thing. It's a little difficult. Oh, sorry. There was also this one from Equity Network statement in support of Sarah Jama. I just want to make sure I give credit to all the people I noticed supporting Sarah in this. And I think those were all the articles and stuff that I wanted to get to. Yeah, just again to rub it in. We can't look away from the situation in Israel and Palestine. We call for a ceasefire and an end to the siege in Gaza, urgent humanitarian aid, the release of all hostages. I challenge my fellow MPPs to consider how we can help end the scourge of war and terror, to fight for peace, you know, what Sarah said. Merritt Stiles has just completely sunk the NDP with this, the Ontario NDP. Any hope they had of moving forward. But I can't say I'm surprised. Again, Andrea Horwath was leader for, I think it was like 5 different elections in Ontario. And the first time up against Doug Ford when the Liberals were out of favor, and the fact that she couldn't pull off the NDP winning when the Liberals got so few seats, they literally they lost their party status in Queen's Park. Even then, Andrea Horwath wasn't able to rally up the NDP base enough to defeat Doug Ford. Of course, true, it doesn't help that the Liberals actually told their voters to go vote Conservative and prop them up. That didn't help. And I'm just like, where do we go from here? What can we do? Because, you know, it was being mentioned in the Twitter space, and I see people tweeting that they will never vote for the NDP again. And I get it. I don't want to promote them anymore. But I'm looking at the options. And I live with a disability. I'm on Ontario Disability Support. And I have looked at everything that Doug Ford has done over his term and a half. People have died because of his policies. Everything that happened in the long-term care homes when COVID first, had an outbreak, to the fact that people like me having to rely on disability, the fact that he refused to increase the rates by any meaningful amount. He was pressured into 5%, which still left us in dire poverty. People are suffering because of this. The cuts to healthcare, the cuts to education, what he tried to get away with the Greenbelt, the billions and billions of dollars he lost. Or, of course, there's the liberals. But you see, the only reason why Doug Ford was able to get away with everything he did was because of the liberals chipping down the foundation. Because they were also doing neoliberal policies when it came to long-term care and health care, and they were also chipping away at it. They were also making our lives worse. The only thing the NDP had going for them was they weren't actively trying to make my life worse. They were at least, looking to get means-tested policy put through. And so I'm looking at this and I'm at a complete loss, because people are going to die because of the Conservatives, because of the Liberals. And it's harm reduction to vote for the NDP, but then they go and do this. And I can't forgive them for what they have done to me and people like me across this province and across this country. The fact that so many people are hurting right now because of this action. When clearly, if you looked at the way the tide is turning when it comes to how people feel about what's happening to the Palestinians, they know the right choice. They know the direction it's going. But they're so desperate to hang on to the status quo that they're willing to throw everyone under the bus so that they can maintain their spot. I just want to say that in between elections, we have to get more active. We need more rallies. We need more protests. We need to do more, especially for people like me who live with disabilities, because we can't do that a lot of the time. We can't go on strike because we're already invisible in society. Going on strike does nothing. We don't shut down society. We don't make people's lives more difficult by going on strike. Nobody sees us anyway, so we need other people to step up and do it. Part of the reason why I'm so upset about our whole electoral system is that it is so easy to change it and to make it better. It's not that hard to get a progressive party in that would then, if they have the majority, they could start just pushing through policy after policy to make people's lives easier. But even right now, with Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh propping him up, what Jagmeet has done is so underwhelming. Because the reason why we have our so-called universal health care is because of a similar situation back in the 60s, back when the Liberals were being propped up by the NDP, and the NDP actually used their position to push the Liberals to do health care, to push them to get some of the social security services that we have right now. And here's Jagmeet in that same position, and he has done nothing. He's gotten what? Means-tested dental care through? That's it? Nothing else. But the fear right now of him removing his support, which would then call for an immediate election, means that Pierre Poilievre is going to get into power. And what he will do once he's in power Like, I started this channel in hopes that this would never happen. That as somebody who is queer, presents female, lives with disabilities, trying to get my channel noticed, trying to get my voice out there, has always been just that much harder. Like, even for people to take me seriously when I said that I wanted to run for NDP. And there were some people who would brush it off, but then there were other people who, once they heard me talk, the passion that I invoked in them, what I told them I was going to fight for, they wanted to see me there. But then I was shut down by this party because I would have stayed true to myself. And I would have spoken up for the people who have no voice in Parliament. I've said this in a video before. When I was talking about Unlearn, she does TikToks and stuff, and she was raging about how all politicians should have a certain level of education. Because Doug Ford, I think he has like a high school certificate. I don't even think he finished high school or something like that. He definitely didn't finish college. And I was saying that was a very, privileged way of looking at it. And of course she would say that because she's in education. But what you will see almost none of in all levels of government is somebody entering in who is living with poverty. Because you need money in order to be able to run for politics to begin with. You need to be able to prove to the people that are going to be supporting you that you're going to be one of them. But if you're living with poverty, well, then you might push for policies that would endanger their tax bracket. It's just, I wish there was more that I could say, but it really takes mobilization at this point. Nothing is going to be done through electoral politics, and I have felt it for a while, but like just being put in this position of knowing every election we have the option of maintaining horrible or going worse. Because I still want to say, come the elections, vote NDP for harm reduction reasons at least. Because my life and the life of people like me are on the line. But how can I, in good conscience, say that now? So what, we have the Greens? Oh, no. Much like the NDP, you can have individual Green members who are decent people. However, their party politics are pretty bad, especially when it comes to Israel and Palestine. They're basically conservatives who care about the environment. We have communist parties in Canada, but they're wrecks. Lots of issues within them with misogyny and predatory behavior, all that sort of stuff, of course. No cohesion. We have the Communist Party of Canada and the Marxist-Leninist Party of Canada, and they can't get along. So what do? We need to speak up more. We need to hit the streets. There's no way around it. Like, I see these protests and rallies happening in other countries, and you see hundreds of thousands, and in Paris, you even get 1 million people out at times. For strikes and whatnot. And in Canada, the only time we've had 1 million people gather like that was for the Raptors championship parade after they won the NBA thing that you win when you go to the playoffs. I'm not a sports person. Over the course of Pride Week in Toronto, it can bring in 1 million people. I think Carabana used to bring in 1 million people. But that's it. No causes. We're sitting here, Canadians are sitting here, watching our health care being stripped away from us. And we're letting it happen. And it's not that we are all letting it happen, of course, because you have lots of people like me. There's lots of people out there who are screaming, who are trying to get heard, who are fighting with everything we can. But there's just not enough of us yet. It's not bad enough for the general public yet to pay attention. And of course, being neighbors to the States doesn't help at all because we're distracted by everything happening there. Right, I don't need these in my ear holes anymore, and they hurt. So, yeah, I'm sorry I can't leave on a positive note because I don't feel positive about this. Like, the only thing that I can kind of just smile over is, you know, Sarah's attitude in all of this. Her pinning that tweet to the top of her Twitter. Like, that was just awesome. That when she, like I mentioned in my other videos, she gave me hope for the NDP being in there. She gives me hope, but being an independent in Canadian politics, you've got no power. You can't really do anything, especially if you've been censured. You really can't do anything. So she's probably, I would imagine, going to go back to her activism after this. Because she made more of an impact doing that. I hope that this has made an impact, everything that she's been through, because you do see the tide turning with people, the amount of support that she's getting from people. You know, I like, it's too late at this point for Merritt to even change her mind on it. If she wanted to say, okay, maybe we overreacted and she's now part of the caucus again. Oh, sorry, my bad. It's too late for that. Like, Merritt needs to step down. Like, this was just so uncalled for, the way that she threw Sarah under the bus like that. Like, she needs to step down after all of this. But my guess is that's not going to happen. And somebody was pointing out earlier, too, that there was another NDP MPP who was investigated for, like, abusive behavior and all this sort of stuff, and the NDP dragged their feet and made it quiet and stuff, and eventually was pressured into kicking him out. But they did it all kind of quiet, like, you know. Anyway, I'm going to check in with chat because I haven't been looking at chat at all. I've just kind of reading here. And let's see if there's anything I should be responding to, because now would be a really lousy time to find out I've been muted. So I'm just scrolling up here. Let's see. Dark Elements, I see what they mean. Play like a team, make styles look good. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, Sarah made her look really bad. And I can't help but see, like, Parliament Karen there. Just totally getting upset that this black woman showed her up like that. Queen Park Karen. Old Lady Plays Sarah Jama is brilliant activist. I had the pleasure of meeting her at the NDP provincial convention a bit before the pandemic. She's fiery, impressive in person as well as on TV. Yeah, I've reached out to her before. I don't think I'll be able to reach out to her because the amount of bombardment with messages and stuff that she's getting right now would probably be a lot, because I wanted to invite her onto my show after her election and she became MPP, because I would really love the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with her. And not shocking, that video I did about her, you know, a positive story in politics, only recently, after all of this, and I've been plugging it a bit more, it got just over 200 views. So that's the thing. Positive news in politics also don't tend to get
Ding dong.
Noticed that was my ringtone. I've been a bit preoccupied. I forgot to silence my phone. I'll just do that now. Just oops, nope, that's not that button there. Yeah, let's make that a little bit more quiet. Public utility, impossible to rationalize insanity. Yeah, I don't understand a lot of this, but then again, maybe it's the autist in me. I've never understood this the Zionist view of what's happening over there, because the very first time I learned about BDS, I was at an event for Amnesty International. I was speaking on their behalf because I'm a public speaker, and somebody else there was presenting, and he used to be like a reporter, but he was like bullied out of it, like an investigative reporter, because he was speaking in favor of BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction. And I remember him talking about it, and I was just so confused why it was so controversial to do that. Because it's not violent, you're not actively harming anyone, it's bringing attention to a situation. Like, it just, I wasn't able to understand why his reputation was destroyed because he was speaking up for BDS. It's just... Old lady plays again. The Liberals literally called 2 days before the first time Ford got elected for their voters to vote Conservative to avoid an NDP government. They're directly responsible for Doug Ford. Yeah, that's true. As I was saying in my previous videos covering that election, they would rather have a party in that would fail than a party that would go in and, you know, succeed and actually give the people what they wanted, because then that would lower their chances of getting reelected. Little did they know, the party that failed got reelected with only 18% of possible votes. Because moves like that from the Liberals really got people to unplug from politics. Dark Witch, if we keep supporting them, they won't learn. They're not going to learn if we stop supporting them either. The NDP is quite happy being in third place. That has always been their role. That's where they're comfortable. Nothing is demanded of them, but they can try to make themselves look good. Like, it is, we need a new party, but how can we get a new party in such a way that then they're not going to be sucked into all of this and become just another neoliberal party serving corporatists and the wealthy? Because the NDP started good. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people saying that the NDP have squashed the candidates, that people are losing faith in them. Yeah, no doubt about it. Dark Witch, there was a Green Party member who was trying to get elected in order to help the disability community. Yeah, a lot of people do. Actually, here in my, let's see. Ward councillors. City of Waterloo. Council members. Who is it? I'm horrible with names. Sandra. Anyway, as I'm trying to find the person, maybe it was in the news. Sorry, basically, there was somebody recently in the municipal elections who also uses a wheelchair for mobility, who got voted in. And our mayor is also more progressive. I know her name, but I don't know her name because I don't remember any names. Dorothy McCabe. And let's see. Yeah, maybe it was for school riding or something, or there's municipal, there's regional, so it could have been a regional candidate. I can't. It's frustrating when I have times like this where it's like, I know this person exists, but I can't think of their names and stuff. It's the same when it's like, I know I've seen this tweet that says blank, but I can't find it because today I've liked, it wouldn't surprise me if I've liked 500 tweets. And so I can't use that to bookmark anymore. I don't know if anybody else from my area would know who it is. Old Lady Played, Mike Morris from the MP for Kitchener Centre is from the Greens and has been a huge ally to me fighting for queer rights. And he's also very supportive of people with disabilities. He's been on my show. You can go check out my interview with him. He's one of the green, one of the Greens that is good. 2022. Let's do that. I remember seeing newspaper articles with her front and center. But of course I can't find it. Of course. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. So it was nice to see some better representation. And that's one thing that people tend to forget when I'm ranting about, provincial and federal politics, is that there's this whole other layer called municipal. And that is actually the place where we have the best chance of making a difference, because it's not built on a party system. Because like I said, if you're an independent and you're trying to run for provincial or federal seats, it's virtually impossible to win unless you have like amazing name recognition. Sorry, I'm distracted because it's bugging me as to who this other person was. But with municipal, it's still challenging if you live with poverty to run, because a ward councillor doesn't pay you enough to live in your ward. So it can be challenging to run if you don't have money already saved up, if you don't have a spouse saved up, but you do stand a better chance of getting in there and making changes that people see. People tend to dismiss municipal elections. They have the lowest turnout. And yet, when it comes to the things that affect communities the most directly, that happens at a municipal level. And so that's where people can really get in and get involved. And I know some people have asked me, like, why don't I run for municipal? And again, I run into that problem of I don't have enough money. I don't have the resources. I wouldn't have the volunteers. Whereas if you run for a party, you get funding from that party for your campaign. You get a built-in network of people and volunteers to help you with it. But when you're running for municipal elections, you really are on your own. And I just don't have, you know, the resources for it. Let's see. It is really gonna bug me until I find out what her name was. But the headshots, the photographs I'm seeing, that won't tell me if they're the person I'm looking for. Nah. Anyway, enough distracting. I'm still, after this stream, I'm still going to go look it up just for a minute. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Old lady plays. I know I could rely on you for that sort of thing. Regional council. That's why. I was looking for municipal. Chantel. There's no way I'll be able to pronounce her last name. Chantel, so she's a regional council ward. Yeah, and she is set to make the region of Waterloo more accessible. So another wonderful person that we were able to get in. And yeah, she relies on a wheelchair to get around. So, you know, like just imagine how much harder it is to campaign for yourself with like all the doors, like how difficult door knocking gets. You know, something as simple as knocking on doors can get if you're forced to do this. If you're forced to, like in our area, we don't have city funded snow clearing for sidewalks. So if it's happening in the winter, there's no guarantee you're going to be able to use the sidewalks if you need any sort of assistance walking. It becomes very dangerous and it can get you stuck. Let's go back to the comments. So thank you, old lady plays. You rock, but you know that. I appreciate all you do for me. Yes, we're friends. Somebody says Ford took our way of voting in our city away. Well, I know he used the notwithstanding clause to override the city limits to interfere with the Toronto municipal election and interfere with their riding lines and really mess things up for them. Because he wanted to take vengeance on Toronto for not electing him mayor. Okay, so I think there's some chatter back and forth in the chat. Just a reminder to people to try to be nice to each other. Because I don't see full conversations. I see little bits and pieces. And just keep in mind that it's easy to take things out of context, or it's easy to type something and have it taken out of context because inflections. Like if any of you were to try to read the scripts that I write for my videos and just try to read it, that's not happening, because if you don't add my inflections and stuff in it, it can be very difficult to follow the logic of the sentences. Okay, wow, it's like almost 8:30. So this went on about as long as longer than I thought, and I still need to like run out and get groceries and stuff because I've been so upset all day. And then there was that Twitter space that took up a lot of time, and I'm out of milk. for my coffee. So I didn't have my coffee this morning. I had to start drinking Diet Coke right off the bat. Which I can do, but I like having a warm, refreshing coffee first thing in the morning. And I need a few other things. So I will go do that. Not that any of you need to know this. I'm just at that rambling stage right now where I don't know how to end a stream. And so I'm just saying things, and then I'm getting worried that I missed something important in the chat that I should be paying attention to. Yes, I see somebody laughing. I do try to go back and read the chat later on, so there's always that, and I've started to work on rewatching now that I'm building back my confidence for live streams after my last live stream where I talked about having a meltdown and stuff. I'm going over my first live stream to kind of actually break it up into segments to post later on. I was planning on working on my script for the Million March for Children today, but that got sidetracked because of this. So like I always say, I plan on getting that script done. I should have, tomorrow, there's stuff happening in my building. So I don't know how focused I'll be tomorrow. Let's see if we can get a positive sign off. Abernathy, baby, come here. Abernathy knows his name. Well, Frodo knows his name too, but he's a little bit camera shy. But Abernathy might come out. And so then here walks Frodo. Frodo, come here, baby. Oh, and there's Abernathy. So we got Frodo on one side and Abernathy on the other. Oh. Beautiful Bengal mix. You're going to maybe see all three cats. Let's see if I can get Frodo up here. No, he's walking out because Abernathy's on my lap. But Frodo is doing good. He's eating more wet food than kibble, so I might have to switch him over to that, which just drives these babies crazy, wanting to get into that nice smelling wet food. And say hi to the camera. Look at this pattern under his neck. He's such a beautiful kitty. He's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And he's very friendly. Obviously, he's letting me do all this to him. Yeah. Yeah, so this one's Abernathy. You saw Lanier earlier jump up on my lap. There you go. And let's see, Frodo, come on, Frodo. He came back in the room. Oh, he's going into the litter bin. Never mind. Abernathy's back. Anyway, don't forget to leave comments, share and like the stream if you can, to help me out. If you can, support my content by becoming a patron. Link is in the description box below. Thank you so much to the people who've already become patrons. I have an Amazon wish list also linked below. Please go check that out. I've started to add things. So there's things that I will always regularly need, like coffee and cat food and cat litter. But then I've also put on like luxury items like that are cheap, but still I won't buy because I don't have the money for, like a specialty coffee or something that would just be nice to have. That if you want to give me a gift, that's the best way to do that. If that's something you want to do, which I can understand because I often want to give creators I like a gift. Also, there's still equipment for my studio I need, and there's art supplies on there that would be very helpful for me to get. You can follow me on these social medias. Let's just put up a whole bunch of these. There we go. I'm getting all fancy with my live streaming here. There's the art. There we go. So yeah, you can follow me on all of these social medias. I'm technically on Facebook, but don't bother looking for me there. Such a beautiful kitty. Yeah. Check out my art at sandeelovas.com. I do commission drawings of pets and people. You can see some of my art there. I also sell prints of my artwork and photographs. Please go check it out. So far, my only customer has been my mom. Moms are good for that. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else. He's such a sweetheart. Yeah. Thank you to all the moderators. I believe some of you guys, somebody pointed out to me that some of you guys will have your own channels. So feel free to shout that out in the chat. And if I see it, I will also shout it out. The Letter Hack is starting his call-in show later tonight. So you can go check that out. If you want to see me on more shows, bug them. Let them know. If you want to see me on Leftist Mafia or something, let them know. I've tried reaching out to a couple people, bring them onto my show, but most of the people I try reaching out to get so many messages and stuff that it's hard for them to notice. So there's that. And wow, okay, yeah, now would be a really good time for me to sign off because Frodo used the litter bin and it's kind of... I need to get some air. Okay. Salut, à la prochaine. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. Oh, God, cat. I'm Sandee, wishing your tomorrow is better than your today.